Well, I don't remember feeling hungry or tired until I started to dig in late at night. That's when it started to hit me.
We fought all night. We had to get the railroad track. We had to try and blow the railroad track so they wouldn't come in with more. The thing was not to let the Germans know that we lost. We lost that many casualties that we had here. We had to keep going, pretend that we were still in full force.
But that was a pretty frightening sensation to go through that first barrage. And then after it stopped, I stuck a head up, expecting an attack, which didn't take place, and yelled to the other guys in the other slit trains, "Everybody okay?" And the word went down the line, "Okay."
Like when we went down, so we dug in a few places the first night, and we captured a bunch of Germans ourselves. A patrol coming at night. We never moved till they got right on top of us. And we just put the flares, and there they were. And we all jumped up with our rifle, and they just dropped everything, got their hands up, and we kicked some butts back and bring them back.
In France in those days, you could see the trees across a field in the dark, and just an outline of them. And I don't know how many times you could swear you could see troops coming at you in the dark. It took me almost 10 years to learn to sleep with my eyes closed.
When you've been at action stations for 18 hours or better, you start to get a little loggy at the end of that time.
We woke up in the middle of the night, well, it was the wee hours of the year, and all I could see was traces going through the air, and we thought about fellows digging holes then in a hurry, get underground.
As the day was ending for the ground troops, Bomber Command was taking off for another series of bomb runs.
We took off at 23:06, so it would be an hour before midnight. We were out again on another operation to do with D-Day. You occupy the land, but once you've occupied it, there's people trying to shove you back off again. So you have to, there's follow-up operations.
I was walking wounded because I was only hit in the hand. I was sent to the MO somewhere around midnight as the company was moving into their area where they were to dig in, up between Angerley and Annecy, what we called Hill 80.
And the day ended with shells going over and still a lot of noise, and I know I didn't get any sleep. If you want to call it, there was no day end. It was just a continuous 24 hours of go, go, go.
As D-Day drew to a close, Operation Overlord was deemed a success. The Allies had achieved surprise in the attack and had captured a foothold in Europe. It was the beginning of the end of World War II. The Canadians landing on Juno Beach faced harsh resistance, second only to that of Omaha Beach. Yet the Canadians prevailed and advanced farther inland than the British and Americans. It was a magnificent military achievement that evokes great national pride. Yet, it was a victory that came with a high price. On D-Day, 340 Canadians died, 574 were wounded, and 47 were taken prisoner. Theirs was a sacrifice in a just cause. No conflict was more pivotal to win, no evil greater to defeat. Anything less than victory would have been disastrous for the world. For those brave Canadians who were there, who determined the course of history, they deserve a nation's gratitude.
I'm quite proud of the fact that we did a job and, the best of our ability.
Well, I feel honored to have been there in a small way, participating in it.
Right now, I'm very glad that I was there. Now, I'm also pleased that I'm still here.
But it was an experience that I'm glad I went through it, and I'm glad I survived.
Oh yes, very, very proud.
I wouldn't have missed it for the world.
I think we should be proud to be Canadians, and for my part, for to be especially a Métis veteran, I wanted to prove myself that I could be just as good a soldier. I don't care who he is or what he is or what color he was.
Well, I think I'm lucky to have taken part, and I'm lucky to have come through it.
Fantastic. And I think the Canadian Army proved they were one of the best in the world.
But to see so many people that didn't do it, that's a traumatic thing to see. You know?
I wasn't really scared till much later.
Now, I spent almost my whole life having survived all that and hardly give it a thought. I was damn lucky.
I guess it meant it was the turning point, and it showed that the end was near.
D-Day in the history of Canada must be one of the really significant events. A lot of attention is now being paid to D-Day 60 years after the event, probably more than has been in the past.
We had to get those people that were considering going to take over the world, like the Germans did with Hitler. And that's why I feel that it was an important engagement.
We felt we were doing the right thing, and of course we were. But what proved it, when we were going through Germany, just outside of Hamburg, there's one of the concentration camps called Belsen-Bergen, or Bergen-Belsen. I never know which way to say it, but it was a concentration camp, and they had killed many Jews. And as our brigadier said, if you want to know what we're fighting for, that's a good place to see it.
We got rid of Hitler. Someone had to do it.
Did we save the world? Well, darn near it.
And that's who we feel sorry for, is the many men and women that didn't make it home and lost 3/4 of their life.
I think it means a lot to Canadians because so many people were involved.
I'm not so sure that the average person really realizes how much that our generation, and of course the generation preceding us, did for Canada in these two dreadful wars.
I'm pleased and I'm thankful that I survived, and now I think more of all the guys who didn't, and what would they have done with their lives if they'd have survived.
We go to the cemetery at Benny-Samar. In the far left corner, all my friends are. I figure in that cemetery, I know 80 people by first name.
When you go over there and see the cemeteries, you gotta drop a few tears, I'll tell you that.
We lost the most men. I get too emotional.
D-Day is something that our country ought to remember. That these people that are lying here, these are the guys that did it. We came through it, but these are the people that have to be honored. It's our duty to honor them. They gave them everything.
On June the 6th, 2003, the Juno Beach Center was officially open. Located right on Juno Beach, a few hundred feet from where the Royal Winnipeg Rifles landed, it stands as a monument to all Canadian World War II veterans. The permanent displays depict Canada in the 1930s. Canada goes to war, the roads to victory, and a memorial to those Canadians who made the ultimate sacrifice. In some came back, others did not. The tour ends with an exhibit of the faces of Canada today, depicting Canada's diversity and achievements, which is the lasting legacy of the freedom that Canada's soldiers fought for. The Juno Beach Center educates on Canada's role in World War II and perpetuates the memory of those soldiers for generations to come. The site is now an attraction that brings Canada to the world and remembers how one small nation took a large role in determining the destiny of the 20th century.
Finally, veterans from World War II are being recognized, and now they have a place, a memorial education center, where their story is being told.
I think it's a good idea. It's like a monument that we were there. We did a hell of a good job, and we lost a lot of good men.
Well, I understand that the memorial itself is not strictly for D-Day, but it serves as a good